The Tampa Bay Rays are hoping to capitalize on a Yankees squad that's struggling offensively.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm Kevin Weiss, running solo today. Fear not, Ulysses and I will be back together as a gang in about a week and a half. He is enjoying some much-needed off time. Hopefully, he can find the next Junior Caminero for the Rays. That obviously remains to be seen, but we will let him enjoy his time off, and we will carry the burden for the next week plus, and hopefully have some guests on as well to carry the show. But we have a lot to discuss, like later on today's show. The Rays host the Bronx Bombers in a matchup of starting pitcher duels. In a few minutes, a Rays lineup construction worth rooting for. But to start, outside of a no-name reliever, the Rays didn't look the part in their opening home series against the Cubs. That is correct. Most everything went wrong for the Rays in their first home series against Chicago, aside from a guy named Jesse Scholtens. Just to recap here, the series that was, the Rays enjoyed a home opening win, 6-4, and Shane McClanahan making his return to Tropicana Field. The thought, the belief, the hope was that the momentum would keep up. But alas, that did not happen, as the Rays struggled in all sorts of fashion in their following two games on Tuesday and Wednesday. On Tuesday, the Rays lost 9-2, and on Wednesday, they lost 6-2. 9-2, for example, the Rays went just 2 for 10 with runners in scoring position. Relievers Mason Englert and Yondris Gomez gave up run after run after run after run. We had another Rays error. Nick Fortes was the guilty party, and Drew Rasmussen was unavailable for really more important personal matters. But really, that didn't matter. I mean, it didn't matter if Drew Rasmussen or Paul Skeens or Shohei Ohtani was starting that game. It is near impossible to win a major league game by scoring just 2 runs. And that, of course, was the case on Wednesday's game, where Joe Boyle had his first reality moment, giving up 5 earned runs in 4 1/3 innings. You had 3 errors combined with that, and the Rays were only able to cobble 5 hits. So there wasn't a whole lot good that went on for the Rays in that losing series against Chicago in the return to Tropicana Field. Honestly, if we're being frank here, the most memorable moment of that series was the Rays fan that got depantsed by chasing a foul ball and leaving his seat, and forever made history. We'll never forget April 7th, 2026, where a guy lost his draws, and we saw his rear end on television, on regional television broadcast, and that will forever be a meme and a moment in history. If you haven't seen it yet, please do check it out, because it will give you a laugh. It will give you a chuckle, of course. And if the Rays were smart, well, let me step back. The Rays are smart, but if the Rays were a little edgy with their marketing and promotions department, my idea would be the next game, and you probably couldn't make it happen the next game, but sometime during the season, promo idea: every fan that comes into the Trop gets a pair of branded boxer briefs or underoos, whatever it may be, to commemorate what happened to that fan. So I'll just leave it at that. All jokes aside, really the standout moment of the series, or a moment worth talking about, was the surprise outing by Jesse Scholtens, a little known reliever. And outside of probably the true diehard fans, or the true diehard baseball fans, nobody really had any clue who or what Jesse Scholtens was. But he delivered in mop-up duty, relieving for Joe Boyle, delivering 4 2/3 scoreless innings, allowing 4 hits, 1 walk, and 4 strikeouts. And immediately after that tremendous outing, and that's just the way the Rays operate, he was immediately sent down. That was the reality check. That is the nature of the bigs. That is the nature of the show. Hey, you prove yourself. You did amazing. Pat on the back. Great job, Jesse. You're going back to Durham. Having said that, I do believe there will be a point in time where Jesse Scholtens will be needed in the majors for the Rays, be it injury, spot start, long relief option. This is not the last we've seen of Jesse Scholtens since his 4 2/3 scoreless innings. And I give credit to Kevin Cash for summarizing Scholten's outing against the Cubs, saying he was outstanding. He really was efficient, used all of his pitches, got in the zone, and kept it right there, giving us a chance to claw back in it. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get anything going too much. That is true. But I got to say, I mean, it might be a little bit of hyperbole. I'm not saying that Jesse Scholtens is the next Nick Anderson or the next great reliever, but I think there could be a role and a spot for him going forward with the Rays. If he sticks to the script with what he did against the Cubs, mainly, I mean, he's got like what, 5 different pitches: the slider, the sinker, the four seam, the sweeper, the split. He doesn't throw very hard, but he gets chases. He doesn't allow barrel contact, and he doesn't allow very much hard contact. But the thing that really impresses me about him is the movement and the diversity of the slider, mainly into lefties, and the sinker into righties. That is something I could watch all day, particularly the sinker and all the tail that it has on righties. So it was very impressive and good for him, because it's also a great storyline as well. You're talking about what, a 32, 33-year-old that nobody's heard of, that has, I think, less than 100 major league innings to his resume. So for him to come up and just deliver a scoreless outing like that, and I know, I mean, the game was pretty much relatively over and done with at that point, but you got to give him credit for doing what he did. And hopefully the Rays consider him going forward. Inevitably, something's going to happen and there will be a need. We know how much the Rays love to shuffle their roster and move and slide pitchers up and down for one reason or another. So that was really I would say, one of the key or main or primary high marks if we're looking at the silver lining from the losing series against the Chicago Cubs. So keep an eye out on Jesse Scholtens going forward. I just want to mention that and give credit to him. Now, turning to the offense a little bit, the Rays are finally listening to our lineup construction advice. It is tax time, but for a lot of us, the old way of doing taxes, it's a lot. Trying to book an appointment that's not the most convenient, sitting in a waiting room with a stack of papers, emailing back and forth, and wondering if they really get your situation. We all know that, right? But this year, you're getting a major upgrade. Intuit TurboTax. They now have in-person locations nationwide. You can meet face-to-face with a real tax expert, and your documents get uploaded straight to your TurboTax app on the spot. And just like that, you're done. Your TurboTax expert works to get you every dollar you deserve while you get real-time notifications as you go about your day. It's the relief of walking in and meeting a real person and walking out knowing your taxes are being handled right. So what are you waiting for? Head over to turbotax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment today. Baseball is finally back, and to celebrate, we're giving you a full month of the Everydayer Club for free. Go to lockedonrays.supercast.com and use code FINALLY. You'll unlock every episode ad-free and get access to our private listener group chat. Tap the link in the show notes and use code FINALLY, FINALLY, to claim your free month. Speaking of finally, the Rays may have finally figured out their ideal lineup construction. So inside baseball here, full disclosure, I am actively recording this episode during the course of Friday's game against the Yankees. I have not looked up the score. The goal is to rewatch the game after I get done recording, editing, uploading, and so forth. But what I did notice is a couple hours prior to the 7:10 start was the lineup that the Rays released to attack the Yankees on Friday evening's game. And the lineup goes like this: Chandler Simpson, of all people, leading off. Junior Caminero batting second. Jonathan Aranda batting third. Yandy Diaz fourth. Cedric Mullins fifth. Johnny DeLuca sixth. Ben Williamson seventh. Taylor Walls eighth. Nick Fortes ninth. And I will say, in parts unknown, I think my co-host Ulysses Zambrano is clapping, crying tears of joy, yelling in the streets, because I think this is the lineup that both he and I envisioned that is finally coming to fruition. We've been saying it for weeks now, since the season started, since opening day. Why doesn't Junior Caminero have some protection? Why isn't he moved up in the order? Why isn't Chandler Simpson leading off? Well, there you have it. You have Chandler Simpson leading off just days after Kevin Cash, in some awkward quote, said that he wasn't prepared or wasn't ready, or we haven't seen enough from him yet to be a leadoff hitter. I mean, he's as true of a leadoff hitter as there comes as far as a throwback is concerned. Speed, bat to ball skills. He can hit the ball to all fields, inside out swing. And when he gets on base, boy, oh boy, as we know, he is a threat. And little bonus here, he happens to be like the best pound for pound hitter right now, batting 375 with a 412 on base and 829 OPS and 5 stolen bases and 0 home runs, of course. If that doesn't scream leadoff hitter to me, I don't know what does. And then you look at the Rays, another thing that Ulysses was really chomping at the bit for was, hey, stack your best 3 hitters back to back to back. And that's what they've done with Caminero, Aranda, and Diaz. So Caminero really has double protection. And if you want to think of it another way, Chandler Simpson gets on, wreaks havoc, causes distraction for the pitcher and the defense and the catcher. That is going to provide room and opportunities for Caminero, Aranda, and or Yandy Diaz to do something. And by hook or by crook, Chandler Simpson gets on with those 3 behind him, a run or 2 is going to be scored. So even if this lineup doesn't necessarily work in this game, I would still like to see some structure like this going forward. And then if you look at the bottom of the order, and again, the bulk is really on those first 4 hitters to get a run or 2 in before moving to the bottom of the order. But I do like what the Rays did in putting Nick Fortes as the number 9 hitter, even though he's hitting over 300, because that's almost like another or secondary leadoff hitter for the Rays to turn the lineup over to the top of the guys. So I just want to give credit where credit is due. It took them longer than we expected, but they finally done it. And look, I know we might have hammered on Kevin Cash and Eric Neander a little bit for the lineup construction. Honestly, and we don't know this for a fact, it could totally be out of their hands. We've heard stories about other major league ball clubs that it's some analytics nerd on the 3rd floor that nobody's heard of that is using algorithms, this, that, spreadsheet, Excel, Python, all that, generating the lineup, handing the lineup card into Kevin Cash and say, hey, here's the ideal thing for you. So I don't know if this is what the nerds have created, or if Kevin Cash put his foot down and said, okay, I see what you're saying with these other lineups that we've used the last 11, 12 games, what have you, but I needed to go with a little bit of a gut feel. And whatever it is, however it's come to be, I am good with this. I am okay with this. And I hope it works out and the Rays can continue to deploy something like this. I really think at the end of the day, though, the most important thing, like really to me, I don't care if Aranda's third or Yandy's fourth, or if you want to put, a Fraley in fourth and a Yandy fifth. The main thing for me is Simpson at the top of the lineup and Junior Caminero second, and then put some sort of protection behind Junior Caminero. And then whatever you do with that, hey, have fun, go nuts, and because again, as we've talked about before, with Junior Caminero, for all intents and purposes, being the most intimidating, dangerous hitter on the Rays, that is like now the trend is to put that type of guy in actually sometimes the number one spot or definitely the number two spot. You look at the Yankees lineup. Who do they have as their first two hitters? Paul Goldschmidt and Aaron Judge. You look at the Dodgers lineup. Who do they have leading off? I think leading off every game is Shohei Ohtani. So there's something to be said for deploying your lineup in that manner, that way. So I think this is a step in the right direction, and hopefully it works out and the Rays can, I don't know, score more than 2 runs in games, because you got to figure something out. You got to try something to get more runs on the board, because you're just not going to be able to do that when you score 2 runs in back-to-back games like you did against the Chicago Cubs. And you're going to have to be a little bit more creative. And that's what the Rays evidently are trying to do, especially when you no longer have Brandon Lau in the lineup. If you had Brandon Lau in the lineup, oh my gosh, it would make things so much easier, and it would lengthen the lineup. Just having that one guy, that 130 homer threat would, expand and expound this lineup so much easier. We might not have even been having this discussion about no protection behind Junior Caminero, because you'd have enough studs at that point to figure something out and make something work and make it worthwhile. So I just want to give kudos to the Rays for, I don't know if they listen to the podcast or they check social media or they just came to their senses. And Chandler Simpson, he seems to have proved himself to be the leadoff hitter, and we got to have some protection for Junior Caminero, and we should probably put Junior Caminero a little bit higher up in the order. So I'm all for, if there's a chance to get 1 or 2 guys a fifth at bat, I'd want that guy to be Junior Caminero and probably Chandler Simpson at this point. So I'll just leave it at that. The final thing I'll say about this with Chandler Simpson is, again, because we know his bat to ball skills, whether it's soft contact, line drive, bleeder, bunt, chopper, I don't care. The good thing about having him as the leadoff hitter is immediately from Jump Street, it puts the defense on their toes. Maybe pitch 1, pitch 2, pitch 3. It's like, oh, I haven't even really truly warmed up yet. We're not even out of the first. And I got to be ready to come in on a ball and make a throw and make a solid throw and make sure it's in time. It's a lot to think about. And with Chandler Simpson, you got to be on it as an infielder, because that split second, that little minor mistake in a transfer or picking up a roller, he'll be safe. And that, I think, is what adds to the strength of having him at the top of the order. We have much more to discuss, like the Rays and the Yankees, and how the weekend pitching matchups could lead to some low-scoring affairs, at least from the starters. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill is still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for Sponsored Jobs. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for: skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping that the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute that I've been talking to you right now, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed Sponsored jobs. Just go to indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Thank you for listening to the Locked On Rays podcast and making us your first listen of the day. We appreciate it. We are, of course, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network in the galaxy. And one thing maybe we can expect is some low-scoring affairs this weekend, at least from the starters. Again, full disclosure, I am recording during Friday's game, Luis Heel and Steven Matz going at it. But Saturday and Sunday, man, oh man, we could have some tight action with Max Fried going up against Nick Martinez and Cam Schlittler, say that 5 times fast, going up against Shane McClanahan. And the Yankees, for what it's worth, they're 8-4 as of this recording. The Rays are 5-7 as of this recording, which, oh my gosh, I know it's only 12 games, but the Rays are middle of the pack or tied for third in the AL East standings. Look, we've got a long way to go. We're not even 1/10 through the season yet, if I have my math correct. But the Yankees are 8-4, so they're coming out firing as at least as far as the win losses are concerned. But and this gives me a little hope, maybe not so much for the Rays bullpen, but at least for Nick Martinez and Shane McClanahan doing their part. The Yankees offense has not really been up to snuff so far this season. In fact, if you look at a lot of the statistical categories, the Rays are better in many of the key ones, and I'll just run through a couple of them right now. So the Yankees are presently tied for 28th in batting average, 22nd in team OPS, 24th in doubles. They have the 10th most strikeouts of any team. I think the Rays have the fewest strikeouts of any team, if you can believe it or not. As far as runs scored, yes, the Yankees are 11th, but they're tied for 11th with like 7 other teams. So that's not really all that impressive of a marker. And they're tied for 12th in home runs, which again isn't all that impressive of a marker for the Yankees when you consider that they're tied with like 6 other teams, including the Rays. So the Yankees, for one reason or another, have been slow to get the bats going. And I'm sure some of that has to do with the cold weather conditions that they've been playing in, but the Rays themselves have played in some cold weather confines as well. But really the main thing, if I had to pinpoint it, is the studs for the Yankees look mortal. Aaron Judge isn't playing out of his shoes as of yet. Jazz Chisholm is struggling. Cody Bellinger is struggling. Ryan McMahon looks terrible. They really, outside of, I suppose, Giancarlo Stanton, really not many other, and I guess Ben Rice, not many other Yankees starting offensive players are carrying their weight. So hopefully this provides a key or prime opportunity for the Rays to pounce. And, you know, it'd be nice to win a series. I'm not going to go nuts and say that, you know, the Rays have to sweep or this is a must-win series. Again, it's still incredibly early, but you would think that, you know, being at home and getting a day off, chance to lick your wounds, that they would come back and settle in a little bit more. I mean, the key thing for the Rays, as we know, is the bullpen has to improve and the errors have to be resolved. And I think to some extent, the errors will be decreased a little bit because you have Taylor Walls back in action. Because we saw the Carson Williams experiment at short, and boy, oh boy, that would-be double play that wasn't turned when Carson Williams could have bailed out, I think it was Joe Boyle. Like, that was the nail in the coffin for Carson Williams. It's like, we can't get Taylor Walls back fast enough to play defense because we need all we can, especially shoring up the middle and middle infield and all that. So we'll see. You know, I'm not going to levy extreme expectations on the Rays, but can I ask for one W? Give me one W. I just don't want to be swept by the Yankees at Tropicana Field. Please give me that. That's all I'm asking right now. All right. Thank you for tuning in to the Locked On Rays podcast. Make sure you subscribe and follow the Locked On Rays podcast so you get all the latest episodes. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Rays ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head over to lockedonrays.supercast.com to join the club. And for those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, for your second listen, go check out the Locked On MLB podcast, and we will talk to you next week.